you remember me as an officer, right? Okay, so um, I was here. Obviously, you guys dismissed me for 7 days of being off duty, right? So that'd be my understanding. I don't know. I didn't look at the reprimands, um, but I know I didn't do anything wrong, right? That'd be the only reason. I just haven't been active. I've been on another server, NRP. I logged in to see if I was still in suit. If I was gonna do some arrests. Anyway, I spawned down in PDG. I slowly walked to the door. I thought about turning BC on, but I was like, well, I'm fine. Like, who's gonna just tase me for no ungodly reason in PDG, right? Um, they're gonna ask me what I'm doing there. I'm gonna tell them I'm a retired officer. I'm gonna excuse myself to the door. Have a great day, right? Um, all of a sudden, I see a taser macro pull up, and I said, "Sir, you better not tase me." And I'm trying to get my BC going, right? While I'm trying to also talk to him. And I'm like, "Sir, you better not tase me." I was like, "I'm a retired officer. You guys retired me for inactivity. Do not tase me." And then all of a sudden, I'm tased to the floor, and I said, "All right, sir, I want a supervisor." I said, "I want a supervisor right now." I said, "You just tased me without provocation. I told you I was a retired officer." And so as he's taking me up to floor one, I get my BC going, um, and he releases me outside, right? And I'm like, seriously, I asked for a supervisor. You just tased me without provocation. So I came back in, and Mr. Allen was up there. I started asking him. He goes, "Well, you do have your BC?" And I was like, "I've got a partial BC, but your officer is admitting to have tased me and taken me outside. So he is admitting to it. So now you can ask for his BC, sir." I was like, it's a valid claim because he's admitting to the situation. It's not an invalid claim because you have to prove the situation even existed, right? I understand that I run CSD in my unit. Anyway, so I come in and I'm like, this officer tased me, and he goes, "Which officer?" And he admitted up in the screen, I have BC of this, BC's rolling right now, that he tased me and brought me upstairs. There was no reason to have tased me. He could have placed me in cuffs and took me upstairs, but instead he chose to tase me. I wasn't a cadet. I was an officer. I was a badged officer. He could have asked me, look, he could have asked me, "Hey, sir, can I speak to you?" He could have said, "Hey, sir, can you stop?" I wasn't running. I was walking calmly to the door. Right as soon as I saw that taser macro, I stopped and I said, "Hey, sir, don't tase me. I'm an officer that is retired." He could have investigated that. Instead, he chose to tase me instead. That's unprovocated attack on a civilian. I wasn't. It wasn't a threat. So if I um Well, right now I'm talking with admin, and admin is requesting BC of the situation, because at this point I'm turning in a ticket because I feel I was, you know, yet I'm in a restricted area. I understand that, right? Again, I run CSD, which controls the building, and my NRP other server, right? Let me throw out NRP. Okay, I understand that, right? But if I'm in civvy clothes and I'm downstairs or upstairs, the only two ways that I can come up there or down there is if I'm spawned off down there. But with the new update, you don't spawn off down there, and if you're like under arrest, right? Even if you don't have any charges, you shouldn't be spawning down there. You should spawn upstairs. That's where it spawns civilians. If you didn't know that.
And he just stays you
So, okay, explain this to me. All right, so I'm walking. Okay, I get if I'm past that metal detector, but I'm walking. Okay, you have to tase me in order to detain me in a safe manner in a green zone. I don't have a gun out. Is this threatening in any way, shape, or form, Ace? So if I'm asked to leave, sure, but I hear, "Hey, somebody's in here," and I said, "I'm a retired officer. I'm walking to the door. I'm leaving now. Thank you." And then they pull up a taser macro, and I go, "Please don't tase me. I'm walking to the door. I'm relieving myself, sir. Please don't tase me. You better have BC if you tase me." And then all of a sudden, I'm tased to the floor. I identified myself as a retired officer walking myself to the door. If I was trolling and getting in a car, if I was running around in circles, but I spawned off and I walked straight for the door. I didn't sit there and stare at them. I didn't try to have conversation. I walked straight to the door. So how is that a reason to detain me with um, electrical force? You could have said, "Hey, sir, can you stop? Can I put you in cuffs? I'm going to put you in cuffs and take you upstairs and release you." I would have been more than happy to have been placed in cuffs and complied, but I wasn't given the option to comply, Ace. I was never given the option to stop. I stopped before he tased me. He could have said, "Hey, sir." So when he's put his taser macro up, so I'm walking, and taser macro goes up, and I stop like this, and I go, "Okay, all right." I don't want to be tased, right? So I stop because I figure maybe I can't hear him miking saying stop, right? So I stop so he can cuff me. All of a sudden, I'm tased to the floor. So tell me, how is that reasonable to tase me when I'm not running from you, sir?
Well,
But he can
so,
enter my workplace, sir. Identify myself with that. All right. I am going to be putting in a blue ticket about this, and the reason being is I feel that that policy is against RP. I mean, you don't give me a chance to stop. It'd be one thing again if I'm running, but I wasn't even running. I was walking. As soon as taser macro came up, I stopped. Um, I was no threat. I wasn't facing the officer. The reason why I didn't face the officer so he could come up from behind and and cuff me. I have to turn around like this in order to be able to do that NRP fight. I don't use my fists. I don't choose to fight. I'm a law abiding citizen. I have no reason to attack you guys. I understand there's trolls, but I'm not a troll, and I wasn't given the option to prove myself as one or not. I was taken down as an assailant with no probable cause other than being in a restricted area. I identified myself as an officer who was retired. I said, please don't tase me. Um, you know, I complied with all with any orders if any, because he didn't give me any verbal orders. Um, and when I asked for a supervisor, he just took me outside instead of getting me a supervisor. That's denial of a supervisor and detainment. Additionally, um, no, he wasn't spawning out of the elevator. He was downstairs in the middle of PDG, sir. He was in the middle of PDG doing training. Another officer said, "Who is that?" walking to the door, and I got on the mic a few seconds later and said, "I'm an officer who's retired. I'm just excusing myself. Thank you." And I walked to the door. All of a sudden, I hear footsteps. I get ready to turn my camera, but I see taser macro, so I stop and I go, "Please, sir, don't tase me. You better have BC if you do, because I'm an officer who's retired. Please don't tase me." At that point, he could have then again said, "Sir, if you don't comply, I'm going to tase you." And he could have had his taser trained on me while he's cuffing me. You can do that, but tasing me with no provocation. I wasn't a threat. I wasn't swinging at him. I wasn't given a chance to swing at him. I wasn't given a chance to be a threat. I stopped. I complied with, seeing a taser macro in the sky that's a warning. So I was like, oh, I'm going to stop my feet. I did. And then the gentleman tased me. If I had no intentions. I didn't get into a car. I didn't go towards any vehicles. I was going straight towards the elevator, and his BC should prove that if he has BC. And being I was attacked, I'm requesting that you ask for his BC. If you can. I have body cam of his middle of tasing me. I have his body cam. I have body cam showing his taser macro. I have body cam showing me in detainment. Um, I don't have body cam, however, sadly, of me being tased and me saying that. But again, your officer should have that. I have enough BC to be able to give you to prove that the situation exists. But so why can't you review that BC? He says that I got tased, right? He admitted that I didn't run. Okay, so if I'm not running from you, if I'm not resisting, you don't have reason. So you're telling me, Ace, if I'm walking down the street and you want to have a conversation with me, right, that you're gonna just tase me and cuff me and then talk to me. So I'm gonna give you an example. Okay, and
versus
okay. So let's say I spawned in this room, right? Let's say right now I get just so irritated that I just log off, right? Which is within my right, right? I spawn off, I spawn in here and I'm like, huh, okay, how'd I come in here? Okay, and I right as I spawn in, somebody comes through and sees me in here. Well, this is a restricted area, right? Yeah. Go, hey, sir, I just spawned in here. Give me a second. I would like to get. You can just attack me for no reason. Well, what was the necessity to hit me with 10,000 volts of electricity? I complied. I stopped. Again, so you're telling me that the necessary force is tasing because when a subject is not moving, not running, because you fear that I'm going to hit you, not because I have hit you, but because you fear. So you fear you. I, I do, and I will be filing that blue ticket as of today. So, yes, because I told you. I told you I have BC of your officer. I have I have C for the allegation, sir. So I will be filing that blue ticket, and then I will be coming back to check on it, sir. So if I get tased again in PD, I'll be again filing another ticket. I'm in a kindly leave, so please do not tase me. You detain me, I will be filing a ticket for detainment. I am leaving, sir. So if you take,
That sounded. Oh, I'll tell you upstairs.